Hey, this is Josh Weidman here with REI360. Thanks so much for joining me for this week's training. Today I'm going to talk about something that is a challenge for any investor really, and that is how to increase your leads without really just blowing up your budget. Several years ago I had a home buying company that really grew and grew and grew. We were wholesaling, almost 12 properties every month. But to get to that point, I had to build up an overhead of tens of thousands of dollars. Our Google AdWords budget was about $6,000 or $7,000 a month. We had full-time canvassers that were going out into the neighborhoods who were my employees, who were going into the neighborhoods, knocking on doors. I had a canvas manager managing them. We were doing direct mail. We had a lot of other marketing outlets. But what happened was it just grew and grew and grew and got to the point where if we didn't have 5 or 6 closings on a monthly basis, we're losing money. So over the last several years, I've tried to take that idea of blowing up the number of leads that you get and boil it down to kind of some systems and some outlets, let's say, where you can increase your leads without killing your budget. In this case, I want to talk about email marketing. Email marketing is, it's kind of new to the world over the last 10, 15 years, but it's something that is a really great opportunity for you to get into the market and to essentially send mailing campaigns to really targeted groups of people. And who am I talking about? I'm not talking about Tom and Susie homeowner, okay? Those are not the people I'm talking about. I'm also not talking about a double opt-in email list for people that came to your site already, submitted their information, and now you're following up. Both of those two groups are really good, good people to market to, good people to follow up with, but it's not who I want to talk to today. The people that I want to talk about today, and with these lists, are a targeted, very, very targeted group of people that can sell you multiple deals on an annual basis, and also, they can do a lot. I'm jumping ahead of myself. So, the title of today's training is Building Effective Email Lists to Blow Up Your Marketing and Shrink Your Advertising Costs. This is going to be done in 4 simple steps. The best part about this is by the end of this training, you're going to know specifically how to go out and do this, and better yet, you're going to be able to do it one time, turn the key, push send, and you're going to be able to generate multiple leads and multiple campaigns within, with that one click of the mouse to go out through the entire year. All right? So let's start with step number 1. Step number 1 is defining your list. What we want are sources for people that have lots of properties to sell or access to lots of properties to sell. That's the first criteria, obviously. We're looking for motivated sellers. That's number 1. The reason for this is that what I want to do, it goes right into step number 2. I want to, instead of having a continual cost to market to these people, buying the list, printing the postcards, mailing it out over and over and over again, I want to be able to have a one-time cost, all right? And I want to generate multiple sales annually, all right? And finally, I want somebody that's going to be motivated to sell me their property at a discount. All those things, they sound pretty simple. But let's talk about who these people are. And really the list that kind of kicked me in the butt and got me motivated to go out and build this. And I saw some really great results. I started with small banks. It just so happened that I made a relationship with a bank asset manager who contacted me. He said, look, I have this property, it's on the market. We'd like you to make an offer. He stumbled on my website, and the beautiful thing about our initial conversation is he told me what his motivation was. It was the end of the quarter. And quarterly, small banks, they have to do their reporting. They want to get these distressed assets off of their books, and if they have to take a loss, it'll be a loss for that quarter, and then they can move on. It's not this distressed asset, this non-performing asset that's going to be dragged on the books from quarter after quarter, month after month, year after year. Okay? So I had their motivation, and luckily I had an in for the bank. So anyway, I make an offer on the property. This property just so happened to be under contract with someone else for $45,000. This individual could not close on it. I looked at it, I offered $15,000. Ultimately, the bank CEO called me back. He said, we can't take 15,000. I can take 20. If you want to take 20, you can do it. I put the property under contract. I wholesaled it for 30,000. Sold it for 30. I made $10,000. It was a great deal. We closed quickly. Everybody was happy, and we go on. And then the end of the next quarter comes in. I get an email from the same bank, and now they have 3 or 4 assets that look pretty promising. And I call them up and talk to the asset manager. He said, make an offer. Made an offer on 3 or 4 properties. I got 2 under contract. I made another $20,000 on the other 2 properties, and we moved to the next and the next. And what I realized is, okay, these small banks, they do not have thousands of properties, but they certainly have dozens of properties on an annual basis. That's one small bank. They have a low number of assets. And so what I thought was, I wonder if there's any other small banks in my area with a few assets. So there was my initial list. They had lots of properties or access to lots of properties. I could pay one time to purchase the list and put it together, and I could do multiple deals annually. And they've got an incentive to sell the property at a discount. What are some other groups that this might fall into? Probate attorneys is a great one. Probate attorneys are underappreciated. A lot of times they're underpaid, and sometimes they don't get paid until an estate is settled, and that's no fun for them if they can't sell a piece of real estate that's in that portfolio or in that estate. Some other things, the biggest, really the hugest pool that we're looking at here would be real estate agents. Real estate agents are a great asset to any real estate investor's business. With that said, you have to be very clear, and we'll get to that. I think that, what is that? Step number 3. We'll get to that in step number 3. Being clear about what you want, things like that. But real estate agents, also a good outlet. I'm always amazed at the ingenuity of my students. I was talking to one of my students recently about these lists, and he brought up that there's a couple churches that he had sent mailers to and talked to the pastors, and he found out that, guess what? These churches, a lot of times, they'll get properties that are donated to them, either when someone passes away or when something like that happens. So what he did is he went to a couple churches in the local area. That might be another outlet. Local churches within your target market, maybe of a certain size or below, and there's another outlet. Bail bonds, another great place. Sometimes they will put a bond on a property, and the bond defaults, and they end up taking the property. These are people that they run into, or sources, let's say, that run into opportunities for you. They have multiple sources of multiple properties. They're motivated to sell at a discount, and you can put the list together with a one-time cost. So that's the major difference between really ballooning your marketing budget and keeping it under control and actually reducing its cost by generating the same amount of leads or less. And that is one-time payment. Now, step number 2, that brings us to sourcing the list. Sourcing the list is a big deal because you might know what you want. You might want to, know what you want in the list, but you might not know what the list is, right? So, first, let's talk about outsourcing. I love outsourcing. This is an opportunity for you to reach out and leverage your time, leverage your knowledge, and hire somebody overseas. For just a few dollars, and I'm not talking about a few thousand, I'm not even talking about a few hundred, you can hire someone overseas to, number 1, do the research for you to find the banks or the churches or the probate attorneys or whatever in your market. And then to scrape all that information and put it in an easy to access program that you can use. I'm telling you, it's amazing how inexpensive this can be done. There's a couple different easy sources for you to access these people. Number 1, guru.com, guru.com. Also, Elance, ELANCE.com. I've used both. I really like elance.com. They have a large, diverse group of talented individuals. But one thing that you're going to notice, wherever you hire these people from, you're going to get bids from $1 or 10 cents a record up to $10 a record. You need to be able to interview these people. Again, virtually, it's all online. communicate back and forth, and get the information that you need. Something that's reliable, something you're comfortable with. It is really excellent. You need to talk to them about the desired fields or desired information. I'm going to use the bank list that I put together as an example. That had 105 records in it. I asked for the last name of the CEO. I asked for an email and mailing address and a phone number. Well, the person that I found had a special program that actually scraped the personal email addresses for the CEO from all over the web. And at first I was a little reluctant, but for the $100 I paid for the list, I figured, you know what, if I don't get any response from the email, then, I'll put together a mailing campaign, or, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. It worked. I mean, it was fantastic. It's amazing. But for $105, I got an incredible list. But you're going to tell them what fields you want and be very specific. Be very specific about the types of records that you want. So here's an example. So let's say I'm putting together a list of probate attorneys within Washington, D.C., okay? I want to be very specific with the individual I'm talking with, and it's going to be with these lists. I'll usually say to them, first I want to search to find out how many probate attorneys we're talking about, and define the word probate. Probate is, someone who is working with, the heirs of the deceased to process a will or an estate, okay? So they're going to do a search and they're going to find the number of records. If they come back and there are 50,000, probate attorneys, according to them, in a certain city, that should raise a red flag. That is probably way too high. The reality is there might be 100, 200, maybe 1,000. That's within reason. But most of the time, well, not most of the time. Sometimes you have researchers that are a little lazy or don't quite understand what you're telling them. So break the task up and the assignment up into multiple steps. Step number one, define the number of records that you want to pull. Step number two is going to be go and pull those records. Okay? Outsourcing is a great source. For only a few dollars, you can have a customized list built for you. Then we have, these two are very similar, list brokers and list lenders. Let's define these. List brokers are companies that will employ the same type of outsourcing to go out and build customized or semi-customized lists that you can either define or that they will provide. This is probably where you are going to find your list of real estate agents in a given market, town, city, state, or even nationwide. It is also a place where you can find, demographic information, and you can define your email, your list by demographics, financials, locations, the whole 9 yards. Okay. List lenders are something very similar. The major difference between these are this: the list broker will hand you the information, you'll hand them a check, and they might have a good return, they might not. But at the end of the day, it's a lot more risky emailing this list than to deal with a list lender. Because most of the time, this information is scrubbed from the internet. It's scraped from different websites, compiled together, and these people they haven't opted in. They haven't said, yes, you can send me information. That's important because with spam laws, it can be a very, very expensive mistake to just spam, 10,000 people because they're on your list that you bought from a list broker, okay? List lenders, what they do is they will provide a promotion. They can, they'll put together very targeted lists, and they will send an email on your behalf. And it will cost you money every time they send it out. So as I'm looking at these, I like the outsourcing the best because it's the most cost effective and it gives me the most control of the situation. With that said, you're going to have to commit to a few hours of defining exactly what you want, communicating that information to the outsourcer and the researcher, and then reviewing and communicating with them as the project goes on to make sure you're getting what you want. All right? So now we've got a list. We defined it, we sourced it, we've got this data. We've got the email addresses, names, phone numbers, addresses, all this kind of stuff of our target list. The next step is to write good copy. What is copy? Copy is just, the message. It's what you want to say, what you want to display to these people you're targeting. very, very important that what you're mailing out there is not salesy, it's not gimmicky, and it's not BS, for lack of a better term. All right. So you want to be real when you're sending these things. If you're emailing an agent, tell them what you want and what you don't want, who you are, and how you can help them. I mean, not just an agent, but anybody else. When I mail out to these bank CEOs, my key was I want to get rid of your non-performing assets. I want to help you get rid of your non-performing assets from the bottom line before the end of the quarter. And I said it 2 or 3 times throughout the course of the email. But I also told them, hey, this is why I'm contacting you. This is how I got your information. And this is what I can do for you. Keep it short, keep it simple, and also make sure that you put in there at the end of the email, if I'm contacting the wrong person here, hey, let me know. I'm sorry. This is the information I had. I wanted to reach out to you. And if you're not the right person, let me know. I got a lot of response on that just said, hey, we don't have any properties right now, Josh, but when we do, contact this person at the bank. And I updated my records, and that's where we went. So let's take a look at this. We want to make sure that we're real with what we're telling people. We want to be honest about what we present, what they can expect from us. We do not want to spam them. This is a big deal. You don't want to seem salesy, not gimmicky, and you don't want to. You really don't want this to look like a polished marketing piece. This is almost like the opposite of a big fancy postcard. Okay? This is a personalized letter or a personalized email. It comes directly from the person that you want to talk, or from you to the person you want to talk to. What you're going to do also is you're going to make multiple contacts, multiple emails. Typically what I will do is do maybe one a month, and I'll do an additional one at like a month before the end of each quarter. Hey, just wanted to let you know. Hey, just following up. Don't forget about me, just to stay in front of them, okay? We got the list, we have the copy, now it's time to automate. I said when we started this training that I was going to show you how to, with just a few dollars, generate a ton of leads and set up your marketing for the entire year. So this is what needs to happen. You have what you want to deliver, you have who you want to deliver it to. Now we got to figure out a way to deliver this. This is not the kind of list that you can upload into Aweber or iContact or any of the the third-party email marketing software packages. Why? Well, it's not something, you can say, hey, look, I want to do business with you, or hey, please contact me and follow up. Okay? So we have to have a timeline here. We do not want to break the law. We do not want to be contacting. This is a soft contact. All right. So again, that goes back to writing good copy, being straightforward, honest, and very clear about what you're doing. So what we need is a POP3 email marketing software. This is a program that a lot of times you can download for free. If you Google this, you can download a free version that will allow you to send up to 100 emails at a time, sometimes more than that. But it's simple design. What you see is what you get. You can cut and paste. Basically, you load your list up into the program. Then you cut and paste your email copy, and it'll allow you to customize things like your salutation. Instead of having hi Mr. Hi bank president, maybe you put in there hi Mr. So-and-so, and the so-and-so will mail merge with your list. So it's hi Mr. Johnson. This is who I am. This is what I do. It's nice to talk to you. Let me know if you're interested. And it's a customized email. Once this stuff is set up, now it's time to schedule the delivery. You can do this for all 12 or all 14, 16 of your emails that you're going to be sending out, and you set it up one time. All the stuff that you're doing is leading up to this point where you are putting together, 4 hours worth of work, culminating with setting up all of your email marketing to bank presidents for the next year. You schedule the emails and you click send. The only obligation from this point forward is to update this list. What's that mean? There will be times when people are not going to talk to you anymore. It happens. don't feel bad about it. But because we're dealing with a small list, because this is not an opt-in list, if somebody says don't email me back, don't email them back. Don't take it personally, just don't email them back. In addition, there will be even more times when the bank president is not the person you need to be talking to. They're going to put you in touch with the asset manager. Well, the asset manager is a little bit harder to identify, especially with these smaller banks. You have people that are wearing several different hats in the organization, and their title is not asset manager, right? So when you send out an email to Mr. CEO and Mr. Vice President of Asset Management emails you back, search for the bank, get rid of the CEO, and contact the Vice President, put his information into the email list. This is important because you know what? If they're going to do the courtesy of following up with you and referring the right person to talk to, make sure you're just as courteous with contacting the right person. Don't step on toes, basically. All right? So, I mean, that's the entire the gist of today's trade. We want to increase our lead counts, decrease our expenses, build relationships with sources for discounted real estate that will sell us multiple properties throughout the course of the year. So that's it for today. Thanks for joining me, and I wish you the best in your real estate investing, and we'll see you next time.